All right, so we're now on to our second metric, and we get to rate our next metric, which is vegetation horizontal patch structure. And this is about how, so we have two vegetation structure metrics, and one of them, this one looks at the plane view interspersion. How diverse is your site? How many different kinds of patches does it have? How mixed together are they? And then we did a totally different metric to look at that vertical structure, and that was the best way we felt to really get a good handle on the biotic structure. So why do we care about this structure, the horizontal patch structure? We're looking at this because it often indicates that you've got a lot of diversity, because what makes the patches? Different community types, more plant diversity. And it gives habitat diversity because you've got these different patches of communities. And it also often indicates that you have intact ecological processes out of sight, because what creates the patches in a riparian zone is flooding and different levels of terraces and back channels, and all of these things that create this diverse habitat indicate that you've got good floodplain connection usually. And when you get a really monotypic area, that's usually an indication that something has happened to either change the hydrology, or perhaps somebody's come in there and altered the ground with some sort of earthwork in the past. And so this is why we care about this horizontal patch structure. And it's the easiest metric, I bet, in the whole NMRAM to rate. Because basically, you've made your map. Here it is. You won't have it color-coded in the field. You'll have to remember that these three are all the same. But you have all your different patches on there. And you're basically going back to Sesame Street and saying, one of these things is like the others. So on slide 16, you've got, so we're on slide 16, sorry. On slide 16, you have three different ways you can think about, or two different ways you can think about rating this metric. You've got your map, which is your actual, what you saw on the ground, and you're going to match it up and say, does it look like picture A, does it look like picture B, or C, or D? And you'll notice on the pictures that A is very diverse. There's lots of different patches. They're very mixed together, and it'd be hard to pick out a single patch that was the most common patch type. And we've represented that also with the table B2. So if you're a more numerical person, you can think about your patch structure numerically instead of visually. And then you can see that for D, both numerically and visually, it's like mostly 95% one type of thing, and maybe there's a little bit of something else. And then C and B are intermediate types. With B, you have slightly more, you might have a type that's most of the place, but you have at least some well-represented other types. And C is more where you're getting closer to that D site, where you've got one type that's really common. Maybe you have two or three other little types in there, but they're just not that much of them. And so that's really it. You're going to look at your map. You're going to think about the percentage of the sample area that's represented by those different community types, and you're going to go to your ratings figure and your table and just pick a rating. And so go to slide 17. So we've looked at our site. We're on slide 17 now. We've looked at our map. We've looked at the different possible ways to think about rating this, either visually or looking at the percentages. And we come to rate our site. Now, our site got rated a 3. And it got rated a 3, and some people might rate it a 4, but we rated it a 3 because there's not a very equal, if you look at the numeric rating for a 4, for an A, it's 30%, 30%, 30%, 10%. And then it can have more. You can have 6 community types. But the idea is they're more equally represented in an A than in a B. And although our site has 2 well-represented patch types, it doesn't have a lot of other patch types that are well-represented. They're just kind of small amounts. And that is why this site rated a 3. If someone came back with a 4 rating, wouldn't be the end of the world. It's a rapid assessment. It is best professional judgment. But based on the best professional judgment of the person who rated this site, it came back as a 3, which is pretty accurate when you look at the percentages. So you do your best to match up the pictures and the data we give you, and use your judgment as well.